Original post. I got a job cleaning out a storage facility. I should have quit the first night. A few months ago, I picked up a side job that sounded simple. My buddy's uncle owns a storage facility about half an hour outside town. One of those sprawling places with endless rows of corrugated roll-up doors, buzzing fluorescents, and a keypad gate. The gig was straightforward. Help clear out abandoned units. When people stop paying rent, their stuff gets auctioned, but before that, someone has to sort through the trash. Easy enough. Or so I thought. Day one was uneventful. We hauled out boxes of old clothes, busted electronics, expired cans of food. Gross, but manageable. Then we unlocked Unit 119. Inside was wall-to-wall mannequins, not department store dummies. These were dressed in regular clothes, some with wigs, some with glasses. One even had braces. They were arranged in scenes like frozen dioramas. A dinner table with empty plates, one tucked into a bed, another lounging in a recliner. Creepy, but whatever. Probably some artist's project. We started dragging them out. But when I came back from hauling one down the hall, something was wrong. All the mannequins had turned. When we first opened the unit, they were posed facing each other. But now, every glassy eye was pointed at the door. At me. Later that evening, the manager asked me to check the breaker box downstairs. The basement level wasn't on any map, and the elevator groaned like it hadn't been used in years. It was colder down there, concrete walls sweating damp. The hallway stretched forever, rows of locked metal doors, each one with heavy chains in addition to the latches. While I was checking breakers, I heard something. Not rats, not pipes. Breathing. Slow, heavy, from behind one of the locked doors. I bolted upstairs, told the manager. He barely looked up, just said, "Basement units aren't for customers. Don't go down there again." That night, I found a leather journal inside a trunk from Unit 237. Most of it was rambling, but certain lines stuck with me. Don't let them call your name. Never work alone after dark. They move fastest when you blink. The basement doors aren't storage. They're cages. The last entry, I'm in 119 now. If anyone finds this, don't scatter us. They don't like it. I told myself it was a prank. I tried to shrug it off. But last night, as I was leaving, the roll-up doors slammed shut one after another down the row. Bang! 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 Like something was sprinting along and hitting them closed as it went. When I finally reached the gate, my phone buzzed with a push notification from the facility app. It said, Unit 119 has been reopened. I didn't open it. I didn't look. I just drove home. But this morning, when I checked my car, there was a mannequin head on the backseat floor. And I don't own any mannequins. Update 1. Other employees knew. I tried to play it cool at work, but I couldn't shake what I'd seen. I asked the manager, Carl, about 119. He told me it had been cleared and was no longer a concern. Said it was closed in the system. But when he wasn't looking, I checked the dashboard. 119 was still listed as active. Door open. Later, on smoke break, another worker, Tony, came over. He looked dead tired, eyes sunken. He leaned in and whispered, "Don't stay past midnight. They check the doors then." I asked what he meant. He didn't answer, just shook his head and walked away. That night, I left a little late. As I passed 119, the door was cracked an inch. I swear I saw eyes glinting in the dark. Not mannequins, too low, too alive, watching. Update 2, the security footage. Tony slipped me the password for the old CCTV system. "If you really want to see," he muttered. The feeds were grainy, black and white, but clear enough. I scrolled to the basement hallway. For a while, nothing, just still air and dust motes. Then, movement. A figure stepped into frame. Too thin, too long. It hunched, bent low, pressed its face to the crack at the bottom of one door. And the door breathed back. The steel flexed like something inside pressed against it. Then the feed cut to static. When it returned, the hall was empty. Timestamp read 3:19 a.m. The facility closes at 10. Update 3, the night shift. Carl asked me to cover an overnight. Just watch the monitors. Easy money. Against all sanity, I agreed. Before clocking in, Tony cornered me. "Keep them busy," he said. "Lights on, music playing. Noise keeps them distracted. Midnight came. I sat in the office with every light blazing, radio blasting static. At 12:37 a.m., every unit on row C slammed open. A gust, like a furnace, roared down the hall, and the mannequins from 119 stood lined up in the corridor. Perfect. Still, watching. The radio went dead. In the silence, I heard footsteps in the office with me. I spun around. Nothing. But the basement door was wide open. Update 4, the basement doors. I went down. I know. Dumb. The hallway was freezing. Every door rattled like something inside was desperate to get out. One had no number at all. Just scratched metal. It shook hardest. From behind it, whispers. Not words, just voices played backward. Then silence. Then a voice, right at my ear, spoke my name. I turned. The mannequins from 119 stood at the stairs, blocking the exit. Only up close, they weren't mannequins. Their eyes were wet, their skin cracked paint, disguising something human underneath. Update 5, the truth about the facility. Carl sat me down the next day. He wasn't angry, he looked exhausted. Now you've seen. You can quit and forget, or you can stay and help keep them contained. He told me the basement units weren't storage. They were holding cells. The mannequins. Failed disguises. People reshaped. They last a while. Then they go behind the doors. They've always been here, Carl said. We just learned to use them. I quit on the spot. But that night, in my car, I found another mannequin head. Its mouth was open. Inside, crammed in paper, was my name. I deleted the facility app, but yesterday morning I woke to a notification. Unit 237 reopened. That was the unit with the journal. The one that said, don't let them call your name. Update 6, the disappearances. I couldn't leave it alone. I started digging through public records, found missing person reports tied to the facility going back decades. Always the same story. Tenants stopped paying, then vanished. Every 6-7 years, a wave of cases. Tony called me again, voice hoarse. They're not storing things, they're feeding it. We're the bait. I asked who they were. The line cut. That night, an envelope slid under my door. Inside, photocopied police reports, scribbled margin notes. One line circled over and over. All cases signed off by Carl. Update 7, inside the numberless unit. I went back with bolt cutters. Couldn't stop myself. The basement was half dark. Lights out. My breath froze in the air. I cut the chain on the numberless door. Inside, walls plastered with Polaroids. Hundreds. Every renter standing outside their unit, all shot from low angles. In the center, a mannequin torso, hollow, with hoses feeding into it. The chest rose and fell. Pinned around it, journal pages. Don't let them out. Don't let them learn names. Don't let them... The rest smudged. Behind me, footsteps. A voice whispered, in my own voice. Don't look. I ran. Update 8, final, the expansion. I dumped what evidence I had online. Journals, Polaroids, photos of the basement. The next morning, the facility vanished from Google Maps. Website gone. I drove past. It was still there, but rebranded. Shiny new sign, corporate font, fresh coat of paint, new tenants moving in. That afternoon, I got an email. No sender. Subject line, welcome to your unit. Attached. A photo of me standing in front of a 119 staring at the camera. Except I never stood there. Not at that time. Later, I checked the journals again. Someone had added a final line at the bottom of one page, handwriting neat and unfamiliar. They don't keep us, they copy us. That's why the unit's never empty. I don't know who's reading this. I don't know who's real. But if you ever rent storage and you hear breathing behind the door, don't answer. Don't let them call your name. They already know it.
Second story. My apartment complex has a 13th floor. We're not supposed to go there. So, this is weird. My lease says I live on the 12th floor of my apartment building. The elevators only have buttons from 1 to 12. But last week, on my way home from work, something strange happened. The elevator jolted between 11 and 12. The lights flickered. And when they came back on, there was a new button on the panel. 13. It wasn't there before. I should have ignored it, but curiosity, right? I pressed it. The doors closed, and instead of the usual ding, the speaker in the ceiling let out this faint static, like an old TV on a dead channel. When the doors opened, I was standing in a hallway. Same layout as my floor, same wallpaper, same carpet. but everything looked wrong. The lights were dimmer, the carpet was stained dark, the apartment numbers were painted over, and the air smelled like rust and mold. I walked a few steps out, heart pounding. At the far end of the hall, a door creaked, slowly, and then I heard footsteps, heavy, dragging footsteps, moving toward me. I panicked, dove back into the elevator, and hit 12 like my life depended on it. The doors closed just as something banged against them, hard. When I got back to my own floor, the button for 13 was gone, like it had never been there. I told my neighbor about it the next day. She went pale and said, "Don't go up there again. That floor isn't for us." Last night, I got home late. The elevator lights flickered again, and the 13 button was back. This time, it was already glowing, like someone else had pressed it. Update 1, the button lit itself. I didn't plan to touch it again. When the doors slid open to my usual 12th floor lobby, the 13 was gone. I told myself I'd imagined everything, maybe a maintenance mode display, a stuck panel, whatever. The next evening, the elevator stalled between 11 and 12. Lights flickered. When they steadied, 13 was back, already lit. I hadn't pressed it. I backed out and let the doors close. I took the stairs, 2 at a time, because it felt like the elevator had just made a choice for me, and I wasn't the choice. My neighbor across the hall, Mrs. Alvarez, opened her door when she heard me rush by. She's in her 70s, always smells like jasmine tea and laundry soap. "You saw it again," she said, like it was weather. I nodded. "What is it? Building's old? Electrical?" She stared past me toward the elevator. "It isn't for us. If it's already lit, someone called it. But they aren't calling for you." "Who?" She didn't say. She slid a folded paper across the threshold. "The rules. My husband kept them. He used to do nights as the building's super. He wrote them after—" She stopped. "Just read. Inside, in neat block letters. If the 13 lights by itself, don't ride. If the doors open to carpet that's wet, stay inside. Don't read the apartment numbers out loud. Names make it remember. If you hear the static start to form words, hum a real song. If you have to go, take a mirror. Make sure your reflection blinks with you. Never take the stairs up, only down. At the bottom, this isn't for the tenants. It's to keep the building calm." "Calm?" I said. Mrs. Alvarez folded her arms like she was cold. "Buildings get hungry. Here it eats numbers. You don't want to be one." Before I could ask what that meant, a rectangle of paper slid under my door from the hall behind me. Plain white. Typed, "Do not press 13 while it's glowing. That is not your stop." There was a key taped to it, old brass. The tag read 13M. I looked back at Mrs. Alvarez. She shook her head once, slow. "Don't use that. If it's giving you a key, it wants to know your name." That night, when I brushed my teeth, the bathroom light dimmed. In the mirror, my reflection blinked a fraction of a second after I did. I slept with the light on. Update 2, the night janitor's rules. I caught the night janitor on my way in from work. Her name tag said Marta. She was pushing a rickety cart stacked with trash bags and a radio that hissed low static. "You're the one," she said like she'd been waiting. She didn't smile. "Third one this year. It's early. Usually it starts in the fall." "Third what?" "Third tenant the elevator likes." She nodded toward the panel. "It sniffed you. It'll keep showing you doors." "I don't want doors." "Then listen." She handed me a laminated sheet, edges repaired with clear tape. The same rules as Mrs. Alvarez's page, but longer, more specific. If the elevator refuses your floor and drifts, press 1 and stare at the floor. Don't make eye contact with the mirror. If the doors open to a hallway with no exit sign glow, it's not ours. Close the doors. If you smell pennies, do not breathe through your mouth. It listens better when you do. If you hear a bell that doesn't ding, it's the attendant. He talks in lease language. Don't answer questions you don't understand. If you see yourself, check your shoelaces. Doubles forget knots. "And this one," she said, tapping a line with a chewed thumbnail. "Never say where you live. Not floor, not unit. Keep your number to yourself." "My lease literally has—" "Cover it," she said. "Tape. Black marker. Don't let the mail slot whisper it out." Something in the hall popped. The radio on her cart crackled, snatched a few syllables out of a soup of noise. "Welcome, Resid 13. Marta turned the volume up until it screamed static, then down to a whisper. It likes to practice on new voices. If you hum, you teach it what not to be. What happens if I press 13 when it's lit? You meet whatever pressed it first. She set the radio on the cart like she was putting down a sleeping cat. And he's polite. Polite is worse. "Who is he?" She adjusted the black elastic that held her keys like a garter above her knee. The attendant. He's older than the building. He just likes uniforms. She started away, then stopped. If you have to go up, go at 2:13 a.m. That's when it's the most honest about what it is. What is it? It's a floor that didn't finish, she said. The building wanted more. It was a different height in the plans. It grew a little throat to swallow the extra. I laughed, too sharp. You know how that sounds? She shrugged. You asked. I decided I wasn't going up. That night, I lay in bed listening to the building exhale. Somewhere in the walls, static formed a shape. It almost made a word. I hummed "Take on Me" under my breath until I fell asleep. Update 3, the first visit. I went up. I know. My phone said 2:09 a.m. I sat on the bed, shoes on, mirror from the thrift store propped in my lap so I could check my blink. At 2:13, I walked to the elevator and pressed 13 before it could decide to glow for me. The ride was wrong. The floor dropped out too far and then too shallow, like driving over hills in a car you don't trust. The speaker in the ceiling chittered like it had teeth. The doors opened. Same layout as 12, but soured. Exit signs were there, but the bulbs inside them were dead. The carpet was darker in patches like ocean maps. The apartment numbers had been painted over in that institutional beige that never quite covers anything, and someone had dragged fingers through the wet paint, writing nothing over and over with 4 straight lines like tally marks. I held the mirror up and blinked. We matched. I stepped out. The doors began to close. I jammed my shoe into the seam. The rubber squealed. The elevator heaved like a tired animal, and sulking stayed. Down the hall, a door creaked. Slow. Something stepped out. Heavy footfall, then drag. Heavy footfall, then drag. Like one leg knew the floor, and the other was remembering. Hello? I said. Because I'm the kind of person that says hello to whatever knocks when I'm alone, I guess. The sound died in the carpet. The thing didn't answer. It moved into the spill of elevator light. It wore a jacket in a cut that hadn't been popular since the 90s and a plastic name tag with no name. Its face was wrong in a way that didn't land until you tried to look at it. Too polite. All the features in the right places with the edges sanded down, like a render that hadn't fully loaded. He tipped his head, listening. Welcome, resident, he said. His voice was radio station between songs. We hope your stay is agreeable. I don't live here, I said. He didn't move his mouth when he talked again. We apologize for any inconvenience. Please state your unit, floor, and name so we may correct records. My mirror hand shook. I blinked. The reflection matched. No. The attendant's head tilted the other way. Something in his jaw whined like an old tape rewinding. We can help with that. Behind him, farther down the hall, a door opened. I caught a shape just long enough to know it didn't want to be seen. It leaned out, listening too. The hand on the door was ordinary, except for the nails, which were too clean and too even. A smile too many teeth wide flickered and withdrew. I backed into the car and hit one with my elbow. The attendant took a step, then the drag, then another. The doors tried to close. Something thudded against them once, twice, patient as a knocking neighbor. The doors clamped down and the car dropped, and I didn't breathe until 12. When I stepped into my hallway, the exit sign buzzed, bright and ordinary. I shuffled home, convincing myself I'd done the bravest, stupidest thing I'd ever do. My door was open an inch. Inside, every picture on my walls was crooked. The bathroom mirror was warm to the touch. In the steam on the glass, 5 fingerprints had written "Welcome" backward. I reset each frame and hummed until the static in the duct lost interest. I slept with the chain on. Update 4, missing people, missing floors. Marta found me the next morning, sitting on the laundry room counter like a kid. You went, she said, not a question. I didn't tell it my unit, I said. My voice sounded like a borrowed voice from somewhere else. She passed me a photocopy of a page from a city permit file. The building's original blueprints were stamped and yellowed. In pencil, someone had drawn an extra rectangle between 12 and the roof. In neat block letters, mechanical mezzanine, storage. In darker pencil later, someone had added 13. It used to be there, I said. It's still there, Marta said. But the building learned to fold it up when inspectors come, like a tongue. Mrs. Alvarez said her husband kept it calm, she said. He did, until it asked him to help it balance the books. She led me to the corkboard by the mailboxes. There were 3 missing persons flyers pinned with dull thumbtacks. One was a guy I'd seen in the gym downstairs. One was a dog walker. One was a woman I didn't recognize, but she had the elevator face. That empty, polite expression you make for strangers. The dates were clustered. 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 days. You see the pattern? Marta said. Closer, I said. The closer it gets to the number it wants, she said. It likes 13s. It eats to 13. Then it rests. Eats what? She didn't say. She pulled out her keys, separated one with a little tin tag stamped S13, and pressed it into my palm. Service stair hatch. Don't climb. If you have to run, go down and count the landings out loud. It hates people counting for themselves. You keep giving me keys, I said. You told me not to take them. You have the look of a person who will go anyway, she said. I'd rather you have a way back. That night, someone knocked on my door. 3 knocks, slow and patient. I checked the peephole. The attendant stood in the hall. He was wearing a different uniform, brass buttons, a hat cocked just wrong. He was carrying a clipboard and a pen he didn't seem to know how to hold. Good evening, resident, he said. Records correction for a minor discrepancy. Please initial here next to your unit and name. Management thanks you for your cooperation. I hummed Take On Me as loud as I could. The attendant tilted his head. The pen scratched the paper without moving. We enjoy that one too, he said, like he'd eaten the song and was tasting it again on his cheeks. I didn't open up. After a while, he left the clipboard on the mat. When I picked it up with a spatula, every line was filled in already. My name, my floor, my unit, my signature. My signature was almost mine. The descender on the Y was wrong. I burned the page on the stove. The smoke alarm chirped once and then went quiet like it had decided to excuse this one. Update 5. Jamie disappears. My neighbor Jamie went missing. I didn't notice at first. Her cat did. It sat by the elevator doors and meowed at the seam, pawing like there was a field mouse behind the metal. When I tried to pick it up, it hissed and scratched me and sat back down to wait. I checked the building group chat. Jamie had posted at 1:58 a.m. Is anyone else's elevator buzzing? Like it's full? At 2:01 LOL NVM, it fixed itself going up. She'd never posted again. I went to Marta. She was already packing a backpack. Duct tape, a flashlight, bolt cutters, 3 hotel hand mirrors, 2 bricks, a wedge. She went up when it was lit, Marta said. We go now or we don't go at all. Stairs, I said. Stairs down, she said. Service hatch between 12 and the roof. It leads to the throat. We took the elevator to 12 and the stairwell down 1 landing. Then Marta pried open a panel at ankle height, and we crawled into a crawl space that shouldn't fit a person, and did. Behind the drywall, the building is a skeleton of pipes and wire and black air that tastes like coins. The space rose and sank like we were walking the ribs of an animal with very slow lungs. Don't name where we are, Marta said. If you say 13, it gets curious. We came to a metal door with S13 stamped into it, paint flaking in even rectangles. Marta slid the key into a lock I couldn't see and turned it. Something behind the door sighed like a person who had just made peace with company. Beyond was a service hall that matched the one I'd seen 2 nights before, except this time the exit signs glowed, but every arrow pointed both ways. The doors had peepholes that blinked. Marta took my hand without looking at me, like we were on a balance beam. We are not rescuing her, she said. We are stealing her back. You make that sound worse. It is worse, she said. Rescuing would mean we took her out of a place. Stealing means the place will come to collect. We heard humming, not sung, assembled from ventilation noise and fluorescent buzz and the high whine of wires at load. The attendant turned the corner, pushing a luggage cart with nothing on it but a stack of cylindrical keys and a folded gray blanket. He tipped his hat at us without slowing. Good evening, residents, he said. We are delighted to expand. Where is she? I said. He stopped. He didn't look at me. His face looked past and slightly to my left, like his eyes were stickers placed by a careful child. Records correction pending, he said. A new floor requires new people. You will be happy here. Marta stepped between us like a mom at a mall. You can't hold 2 floors at once, she said. You don't have enough numbers. For the first time, the attendant's expression changed. It wasn't human. It was interest. Marta thrust one of the hotel mirrors up under his chin. His reflection did not blink with him. It lagged. He hissed, carpet under a door hiss, and backed away so slowly you might not notice he was moving at all. Counting time, Marta said. She took my wrist and we ran. We found Jamie in the second hallway, sitting with her back to a door like she'd decided to rest there because there had never been another place to rest. Not ever. Her eyes were open and glassy. She looked like a mannequin made from a specific person. The skin around her mouth was too smooth. Jamie? I said. She looked up and nothing in her face changed. Please state your unit and floor. Marta pressed a hand mirror to Jamie's mouth. The fog came late. Then, too much. It spread over the mirror like breath in a freezer. Marta nodded. She's still herself enough. We taped Jamie's hands to the luggage cart's rails and taped her ankles because she didn't seem to remember what legs were for yet. We stole her back. At the service hatch, the attendant was waiting, hat in hands now, pen clipped to his lip like a cigarette. "We regret to inform you," he said, "that your account is past due." "Put it on 12, Marta said. He smiled. It was so wrong it made my eyes water. "Delighted to oblige." We pushed Jamie through and slammed the hatch and found the second lock from the outside and turned it until my fingers throbbed. We dragged her into the stairwell and down 2 landings, humming until the static behind the walls dissolved into air. By the time we got Jamie into Marta's apartment, she had learned blinking again. She watched us with the serious eyes of a person who's been underwater too long and is listening to each molecule of air come back as a separate friend. We wrapped her in blankets and put a cold can of Diet Coke in each of her hands because the cold taught hands what to be. "Don't say your unit," Marta said. "Not even to yourself." Jamie slept. The whole building leaned in to listen. Update 6. The night manager calls. The phone in my apartment rang at 3:13 a.m. I didn't know I had a landline. The ring came from nowhere ordinary. It came from the baseboards. I answered because I am the kind of person who will always answer once. "Good evening, resident," the voice said. It was the attendant, flattened into customer service hold music. "This is management. A minor discrepancy has been noted in the occupancy figures. Please confirm your unit and floor so we may correct our records." "You have my number," I said. "We host many numbers," he said. "We are growing." Stop. The static does a thing right before it turns into words. It dries the space between syllables, like lips that need balm. The voice did that sound. Then, "This is a courtesy call to advise you. An expansion is scheduled. We are very excited to offer new amenities, including 14. "That's not funny," I said. "We have so much space," he said. "We are making some of it, you." The line went dead. My phone didn't have a dial tone. It now had no phone. I went to Marta with coffee and a list of bad ideas. She pulled out another photocopy, the blueprint again, this time with pencil marks like stitches between 12 and the roof, circles at the corners, numbers in the margins. "Buildings like this are balanced," she said. "Loads, spans, occupancy." It tried to grow a floor. The math says it can't. The math is a wall. It eats numbers to push through. "How do you make it stop?" "You feed it something it can't swallow," she said. She pointed at the circles in the corners. "Sprinkler zones. If we trip all 12 alarms at once, the system will think the building is full of something else. It will retreat the throat." "What about 14? I asked. "Not yet," she said. "Don't let it name itself twice." We planned at her kitchen table, voices low. Tape this door, wedge that one, flip this breaker from the service room on one, jam this elevator here, that one there, time the alarms so they overlap at exactly 3:13. "Why 3:13? I asked. Marta rubbed her eyes with the heels of her hands. "It's when it's the most awake. You don't kill snakes while they're asleep. They dream you into their bellies." "Is that a saying?" "It is now," she said. "We recruited Mrs. Alvarez to hold the lobby doors because she had the look of someone who has held doors against worse. We gave the cat a bell and locked Jamie in with water and crackers and a clock. We left notes taped under the doormats of the few neighbors we knew wouldn't give us away. Noise at 3:13. It's us, don't open. At 3:07, the elevator panel in the lobby winked. 13 bloomed like a bruise. I wedged elevator A open with a brick at 12. Marta jammed elevator B at the lobby with a mop handle. She counted sprinkler heads. I counted out loud in the stairwell just to make the walls mad. 3, 4, 5, I said. In the duct above my head, the static dried itself and said softly, like a promise. 6. "But 7, I said louder. 8, it said. 9, 10. It was laughing. The sound made the hair on my forearms go flat. At 3:12, Marta pulled the breaker for Zone 1. The alarm coughed, then screamed. Mrs. Alvarez hit Zone 2 with the tip of her umbrella, a precise old lady spear. The alarm yowled like a cat with a door on its tail. I ran to Zone 3 and pulled the red handle so hard my palm skinned. 3:13 hit like a dropped building. The sound became a shape you could stand inside. Water leapt from the ceilings. The throat of the building tightened around air that was now full of noise. The attendant stepped into the lobby, perfectly dry, pen in his teeth, hat in his hands. "Good evening, residents," he said. "We regret to inform you of a minor flood." "Choke on it," Marta panted, flicking the breaker for Zone 7. "Choke on your own math." He smiled wrong. "We don't choke, Marta. We expand." He turned to me. Will you be joining us on 14? Go write Elise writes better insults than I do. He bowed. Something in his spine clicked like he was made of tape measures. The alarms hammered. The water made rivers in the hall where the carpet had always wanted to be a river. The 13 button on the panel flickered, and then, slowly, like giving up a coin, went dark. The attendant's face fell. Not the way a human's face does. It literally slipped down a half-inch, as if held by weak hooks. He reached up and smoothed it back on without taking his eyes off the dead button. "Temporary," he said. "We are patient." He stepped backward into the elevator that wasn't there and was. The doors sighed and met where there had been only air. The alarms rang. It took the building 11 minutes to admit we'd won. When the alarms reset, the water stopped, and the elevator panels read 112 like God intended. I looked for Marta. She wasn't in the lobby. Her keys were on the top stair. The elastic was still warm. Mrs. Alvarez put her hand in mine without asking and squeezed until the bones settled. "We keep it calm," she said in a voice that had carried more names than she would ever say. Update 7, Aftermath. Jamie is back, mostly. She doesn't like mirrors for more than a second at a time. Her cat trusts her again, which is how I trust her. She doesn't say her unit out loud. When food delivery asks for confirmation, she spells it wrong on purpose. The building has been quiet for a week. The elevators behave. The carpet smells like a wet dog slept against it for a little while and then left to live somewhere else. They replaced the alarm pull stations. They replaced the exit sign bulbs. They replaced the manager. The new one wears a name tag that says Kyle and has eyes like a person who has never heard static in a vent. Marta isn't in the employee roster anymore. When I ask, Kyle says, "Marta? I think she was temp?" Like the name is a misplaced staple. On my way in yesterday, I passed a maintenance card I didn't recognize. It had a radio on it. The radio was off, but humming anyway. On the lower shelf, folded into a shape my hands know, sat a gray blanket. A stack of cylindrical keys lay beside it, dull as old ice. There was a note taped where the handle meets the card. "We are very excited to offer new amenities." I didn't say what out loud. It wasn't asking. It was telling me a secret I already knew. That night, at 2:13, I woke to the feeling you get when a department store escalator ends under your feet. The apartment tilted and didn't. The static in the duct grew polite. I went to the elevator because I can't stop myself from seeing the thing that looks for me. The panel read 112. For exactly 1 second between the 11 and the 12, a 14 winked on. Then it was gone. The building wasn't offering me a ride. Not yet. It was just practicing the shape of the number in its mouth. Update 8, final, the 14th. I waited 3 weeks to post this. I needed to know if I was going to be the kind of person who described a ghost and then stayed in its house. This morning, someone slid a manila envelope under my door. Inside, a revised lease addendum with my name, correct down to the scar in my handwriting where my hand always hesitates on the first letter. The header read, "Amendment, floor correction. Effective immediately, resident agrees to occupy unit redacted on floor 14. I took a photo and texted it to Mrs. Alvarez. She knocked once and then let herself in without waiting. She looked at the paper like a doctor at an x-ray. "It remembers," she said. She set the paper on the table, put the salt shaker on top of it, then, after a second, put the pepper on top too. "You can't tear it up. That's not the sort of thing you can throw away. You put weight on it and see where it goes." At 3:13 p.m., exactly p.m., apparently politeness has shifts, the lobby announcement system chirped. "We don't have a lobby announcement system." A voice that wasn't the attendant's and was said, "Residents, we are pleased to announce the opening of floor 14. Amenities include expanded storage, panoramic views, and excellent soundproofing." Kyle, the new manager, blinked up at the speaker grill that had never been there until it was. "Huh," he said to no one. "Corporate moves fast." The elevator panel read 112. The 14 button did not appear. Not for me, not yet. I went upstairs to check on Jamie. She'd taped paper over all her mirrors like a haunted house in a movie. We drank tea with too much honey, and when I stood to leave, she hugged me the way you hug a person who pulled you out of a throat. In the hallway, the exit sign flickered and stabilized. The air smelled like nothing. I breathed through my nose and my mouth just to be rude. At my door, something thin slid under the gap and touched my shoe. I bent and picked up a plastic name tag with a magnet back. It said Marta in letters clean and even as new tile. Under it, in tiny type, Concierge 14. I put the tag in a drawer and put weight on the drawer. Then I wrote this and taped it under your mat. If your elevator ever shows a button that wasn't there yesterday, Here are the rules that matter more than you think. If it lights itself, it's not calling you. If the carpet looks wet, you never left the car. Never say your floor or your unit out loud, not to neighbors, not to yourself. And if it asks for your name, hum a song you learned from a person who loved you. Mirrors are for checking blink, not for looking. Never take the stairs up. If you go, go at 2:13. If you fight, fight at 3:13. If you must steal someone back, remember it will come to collect. Don't owe it numbers. I'm not leaving. I'm not brave. I'm stubborn. And it helps to name the shape of something that wants to name you first. I still see 14 flare like a wink when the elevator thinks no one's looking. I don't press it. It's not for me. Not yet. Sometimes, very late, the speaker in the ceiling coughs up a voice that is almost but not quite Marta's. Good evening, residents, it says in that polite place between static and song. We are very excited to welcome you. If you ever hear it, don't answer. Don't look into the mirror to see if your mouth is moving when the voice is. Don't press 14 just because it makes you feel seen. Being seen is how it counts you. No further updates. My town has a bridge you're not supposed to cross after midnight. This isn't a ghost story, at least not in the usual way. I grew up in a little river town, population under 2,000. We've got a diner, a Dollar General, 2 churches, and the Old Quarry Bridge. It's just a 1-lane steel truss bridge that crosses the river at the south end of town. Everyone uses it during the day, but there's an unspoken rule here. After midnight, you don't cross it. Not by car, not on foot, not at all. Nobody writes this down, but everyone knows it. The diner closes by 11. Teenagers drag race out on County Road, but never toward the bridge. If you ask about it, people laugh it off. Old superstition, they'll say. Rust and shadows. But then they'll look away, quick, like they've said too much. I never believed any of it, until last week. The dare. It was around 12:30 a.m. My buddy Jared and I had been drinking down by the quarry. He bet me $50 I wouldn't drive across the bridge and back. Easy money, right? I jumped in my car, cranked the engine, and headed south. The bridge was different at night. The steel beams looked taller, narrower, like they leaned closer together overhead. My headlights caught graffiti I'd never noticed in daylight, circles scratched into the paint, all in 13s. Halfway across, the radio fuzzed out. Just static. Then the dash lights dimmed. Then, I swear, the engine stopped running, but the car kept rolling forward. And then the fog rolled in. Thick, white, too fast. Like it was waiting on the far bank and rushed me when I reached the middle. My windshield went opaque. I leaned out the driver's side, trying to see the railings. That's when I heard footsteps. Heavy, slow, keeping pace with the car, one on each side, metal groaning under weight that wasn't mine. I slammed the gear shift, tried to floor it. The car lurched, sputtered, and then, suddenly, roared back to life. The fog cleared just as fast as it had come. I didn't look in the rear view. I just tore across and back into town. The photo. The next morning, taped to my apartment door, was a Polaroid. It showed me, leaning out of my car window on the bridge, mouth open, eyes wide. But the angle was wrong. The shot was taken from the middle of the bridge. Behind me in the fog were 2 shapes. Tall, thin, walking just beside the car. Update 1, the old rule. After posting, I had a bunch of DMs from locals. A couple anonymous, one I recognized from high school. They all said the same thing. Everyone who crosses gets a Polaroid. Sometimes it's of them in their car, like mine. Sometimes it's of them standing halfway across, like someone snapped it from inches away. A few got worse. Pictures of their bedrooms, of them sleeping, always taped to the door the next morning. I asked what happens if you keep crossing. Nobody wanted to say. One guy finally admitted his uncle used to brag about breaking the rule, crossed the bridge drunk 3 nights in a row. The 4th morning, his family woke to find 12 Polaroids taped to their door. Each one showed a different angle of their uncle sleeping. He was gone by that night. Truck still in the driveway, bed unmade, gone. The photos had one last image tucked behind them. A shot of the bridge itself, completely empty, except for a pair of tall figures standing dead center, looking straight at the camera. Nobody saw him again. Update 2, the newspaper archives. I went to the town library, dug into the microfilm. The bridge was finished in 1913. Before that, people used a ferry. The old articles are weird. At the dedication ceremony, the mayor gave a speech, but it cuts off in the transcript. We are grateful to the toll keep. And then nothing, just garbled print. A year later, 4 found dead near quarry. Locals blame bridge curse. The piece talks about how the victims were drained of blood, hung like laundry on the steel beams. In the 50s, a series of disappearances made headlines. Teens went missing after a school dance. Families demanded the bridge be torn down. City council voted it down, said the bridge was structurally sound and financially critical. But here's the kicker. Tucked in the back of the file was a handwritten note, not an article, a list of rules. Almost the same as the ones I saw in the 13th floor saga someone shared here, but local. Never cross after midnight. If you see fog, turn back. Don't answer if someone calls your name on the bridge. If you receive a Polaroid, burn it outside your home. I'd never look directly at the water when you're in the middle. At the bottom, in red pencil, the toll is always collected. Update 3, the sheriff. I tried asking Sheriff Collins about it. He's been in office since forever, one of those guys who acts like he owns the town. When I brought up the bridge, he got real still. You want to keep your lease? Your job? Then you stop asking. That's what he said. Not, don't be stupid, not local legend. He straight up threatened me. As I left, I saw something on the corkboard in his office. Hidden behind flyers for bake sales and lost dogs, a stack of Polaroids, clipped together. The top one showed headlights halfway across the bridge. In the reflection of the windshield, 2 tall shadows leaned close. The sheriff caught me looking. He slammed the drawer shut. Some things keep towns quiet, he said. You'll learn. Update 4, offerings. Mrs. Alvarez, my neighbor, the same one who warned me first night, pulled me into her kitchen yesterday. She had jars of coins stacked on the counter. Quarters, dimes, nickels. This is why it's called the toll, she said. Every spring we toss them from the bridge at dusk. Not after dark. Never after dark. Just enough to keep them satisfied. Who are they? I asked. She didn't answer. Just pushed a jar into my hands. Next time you're near the water, you'll feel them watching. Don't look back. Just pay. I asked, what happens if you don't? She turned one of her Polaroids around. It showed her family in the living room, decades younger. Her husband, her kids. She was smiling in the picture. They don't let you keep what you love, she whispered. Update 5, the crossing at 3:13. Last night, against all reason, I went back. I parked at the north end, set my phone to record, and walked out at exactly 3:13 a.m. Fog pooled instantly, like it had been waiting. The beams overhead groaned. I could hear water below rushing louder than normal, though the river's been low all summer. Halfway across, the air got heavy. Every step forward felt like walking against a crowd. Then came the footsteps, one on each side, perfectly timed with mine. Resident? The word came from my left. Too close. Voice like someone learning English phonetically. Bepe, from my right. Shapes slid out of the fog. Tall, thin, their heads bent to brush the steel beams, their hands grazing the rail. One held something up, a Polaroid camera. The flash popped. When my eyes cleared, I wasn't alone. Standing in the middle of the bridge, facing me, was myself. Same jacket, same shoes, but the face was slack, polite, like it was waiting to be filled in. Behind it, the toll collectors leaned close, whispering. I bolted, didn't stop until I hit the bank. On my windshield this morning was a Polaroid. It showed me standing on the bridge with a second me blurred behind. Update 6, the collectors don't stay put. I thought the bridge was the boundary. It isn't. Last night, I woke to static in my apartment. Not from the TV, from the window. Drawn in the condensation was the outline of the truss beams, a little sketch of the bridge, perfect and straight. Underneath, written backwards, toll due. I burned the Polaroid I'd found, outside like the rules said. The flame stuttered, went green for a moment, then collapsed to ash. This morning, my downstairs neighbor's door was open. Cops everywhere. They said he was missing. His couch was empty. Only thing left was a Polaroid on the table. It showed him sitting in my car on the bridge. I never gave him a ride. Update 7, the riverbed. I went back to the library, kept digging. Found an old engineering report from when they built the bridge. The ground beneath was unstable. Workers kept reporting hollow sounds when driving pilings. One handwritten note in the margin. Feels like we're waking something. Recommend burial instead. Burial. The bridge wasn't just built over the river. It was built to pin something down. And now it wants out. They're expanding. The county just announced a replacement for the old Quarry Bridge, supposed to be finished next year, a big, modern, 2-lane thing. The paper says federal money came through fast, no delays. I know better. The toll collectors are making room. Last night, I drove past the construction site. No crews at that hour, but the fog was already there, waiting. On the fence by the site, taped at eye level, was a Polaroid. It showed the new bridge, finished. Lights glowing, cars lined up, all of them empty. Doors open. And at the center, the collectors stood tall, holding up a fresh sign. It said, Welcome to Quarry Bridge 2.0. All tolls must be paid. When I got home, another Polaroid was taped to my door. This one showed me standing on the finished bridge, smiling. I haven't been there yet. No further updates.